Hey, Scott Jordan here for Jancast number 202. That's 202 for November 20th. And this is the 2025 ISSA show recap. So let's start at the very beginning here. So Sunday, we're flying out to the show because as an exhibitor, we got to set our booth up and all that jazz. So Sunday, we're flying out from Philadelphia, Steve DeVito and myself, and we get to the airport thinking, oh, because of all the air traffic controller issues and everything else, we're going to be delayed. So we get there earlier than normal. And of course, we go through security with absolutely no issues. So we get to our gate 3 hours before we're supposed to take off. We patiently wait there. An hour goes by, another hour goes by. Then they make an announcement that the plane is in Philadelphia, but it is being worked on and will be towed over when it's ready to go. That's always a great thing. A lot of confidence you get when they say the plane's going to be towed over. So they made that announcement three more times, and I thought for sure that they were going to cancel the flight, even though you would think they wouldn't. But if you have a plane that's not working, you're kind of out of luck. And there was limited planes because of all the issues with air traffic controllers. So lo and behold, we actually did take off. And then after the fact, we found out that we were in Terminal B. We found out in Terminal A, there was a measles outbreak. So fortunately, everybody on the plane who was standing around for 3 hours didn't get measles, or at least we don't think they did. So we finally did. We finally did make it to the show, and our booth arrived as we had hoped it would, and all the setup. But let me go back a little bit and talk about the history for those of you not familiar with the ISSA show over the years. But back in the day, the ISSA show moved around a little bit more. A little bit more would be, uh, yeah, moved around a lot more. Let's put it that way. So historically, the show would be in Chicago and Las Vegas. Then there'd be a rotating city, something like New Orleans, which was a really, really good spot because great food, great convention center, everything else. I think it was either Dallas or Houston. Terrible show there because the show floor was set up as a wagon wheel. We were in New York City for a while. That didn't work out because the union cost involved with setting the show up was ridiculous. And then there was Orlando. Orlando, beautiful convention site. But one of the things I heard after the fact is families or businesses would book their trip, take their families, and they could write the whole trip off. But then again, the negative was they would only show up at the show for a very short period of time and then go to Disneyland or something, or Disney World in Florida. So the show, gradually stopped moving around. It ended up being between Chicago and Las Vegas. In fact, Chicago was, I guess that was 2 years ago. So the movement of the show kind of changed the whole thing. This is all pre-pandemic, keep in mind. So one of the benefits for a manufacturer like Bullen, who's located in the Philadelphia market on the East Coast, when the shows moved around like that, you had the ability to potentially talk to more local people depending upon where that was. So, the benefit there is, we have a hard time shipping our product around the country because it's made up of a lot of water, and water is heavy, usually 9 to 10 pounds per gallon. So freight has become quite an issue. Back then it was an issue, but it's even worse now. So if all the shows are kind of in Las Vegas, the problem there is you don't have any of the local people other than the local distributors or end users in Las Vegas, in which we saw quite a few come by our booth. But when it rotated around, at least we had the opportunity to meet local people to Chicago, local people to New Orleans, or wherever that alternative show location was. Now it's been in Las Vegas, other than the one trip to Chicago, for, I guess, 3 years in a row, and another 2 years, I think, going forward. So that's changed it a lot. And post-pandemic, now we have all the mergers and acquisitions that have come into play. That presents other issues. So our standard thing would be to invite some of our remote distributors to the booth, so it'd be more economical to talk to 10 different distributors in one location and going to those 10 locations wherever they happen to be in the United States. Now, because of the mergers and acquisitions, there's not that many distributors. And quite honestly, I don't think the Imperial Dade, Brady Plus people are walking around the show floor looking for new stuff. At least I didn't see any at the most recent show we just had last week. So the whole personality, potential of business has completely changed. But keep in mind that Bullen has a real long history with the ISSA. My dad was president in 1984. I was president in 2011. I was also pleased to win the Jack D. Romali Award. And for those of you that know the history of ISSA, know who Jack was. I won that in 2015. So we have a big connection with the ISSA show, ISSA just in general, not necessarily the show. So we have this great history. Love the organization. Done some really great stuff for us. Being a specialty chemical manufacturer, we've always relied upon the regulatory help at ISSA that most distributors or regular ISSA members don't ever utilize, but we have in the past. Bill Balick, before he retired, was a fantastic resource because he knew kind of everything that was going on. So this year's was a little bit different. It is the second year we've been at the Mandalay Bay, and one of the benefits of the Mandalay Bay is it's one location. We literally checked in on Sunday and never left the facility for the whole time we were there. That's really good because back in the day, the convention was at the convention center in the North Hall usually. And we'd have to take a bus from wherever the hotel was we were staying, unless you stayed at the Marriott across the street. You'd have to take a bus every morning. Then you do the show. Then you'd have to get in line for the bus on the way back to get back to your hotel room. And then you're kind of like, okay, where do you go to dinner and all that? So the benefit of the Mandalay Bay is you literally check in one place and you don't have to leave. So really, really good from that standpoint. But let's use breakfast as an example. I get up Monday morning. We're going to go set the booth up. We go have an excellent breakfast at one of the sit-down restaurants, and the bill was like $30 a person for omelets, hash browns, orange juice, coffee. The usual stuff. Around $30. I expect, okay, $30. You're in a restaurant. That makes perfect sense. So I'm thinking, well, we'll get up the next morning, Tuesday, before the show starts. I always like to walk the show floor if possible to kind of see what's going on, and typically would get a breakfast at some place like Starbucks. So I found Johnny Rockets had breakfast in the food court that was there. So I thought, wow, that's perfect. So I got a breakfast sandwich at Johnny Rockets with tater tots and orange juice. And guess how much it cost? $32. So I thought, wow, $32. That's the same price I just paid at the sit-down restaurant where I got a full omelet and everything else. So then following morning, I said, let's go to Starbucks, see what that deal is. Some price savings there, but it was still for a breakfast sandwich, orange juice, and it was very good orange juice, and a small black coffee, $24. So the negative of being in one location where you can't walk across the street to McDonald's is you're going to pay between $25 and $30 for breakfast. Let's not even talk about lunch because that's always been a thorn in everybody's side. Is that you're at the show, you're working like crazy, and you got to get some food or you're going to get dizzy. So you go out and stand in line and get a piece of pizza. But you can't stand in line for a half an hour if we're supposed to be working our booth. So they got to do something about that whole food thing. So back to the show. So typically, what we have to do, we meaning Bullen, is because we have seniority, we get to pick a booth before most other people pick their booths. And the positive of that is we get a really great location, which we had this year because of our seniority in previous years. So if you don't choose to pick your booth, and this is happens roughly a month before the show that we just attended, you got to commit right then and there that you're gonna be getting this booth space. So I chose not to do that at the time, just because I wasn't sure about what the show was going to be like. So we missed our window of opportunity to get choice location with all the big guys in the front, like we typically have. And Informa's done a really good job in trying to follow up and see where they could fit us in. Um, but the location that ultimately they were able to offer us was not really optimum from a traffic standpoint. So we've decided that we are not going to show next year at the show. I, as past president, can attend the show for my life for free. So more than likely, I'll walk the show floor and be able to attend the past president's lunch, which is always nice to meet up with all of my friends that we serve together on the boards with. So I'll probably be back for that, but we will not be exhibiting at the show next year. Our seniority still is in play, so potentially we'll be looking at our booth location potential for the 2027 show, which again is going to be in Las Vegas. I don't know what's going to happen after that because apparently the contract runs out, but we'll see. I'd be surprised if the show actually ever leaves Las Vegas again, but let's hope. So with that said, I'm really sorry that we are not going to be able to be exhibiting next year, but we'll have some alternatives that we've been kicking around. We've done a virtual show before, right after the pandemic, so we have all the equipment to be able to do a streaming show from wherever we want to do it. So we'll see how that plays out. But I appreciate everybody that stopped by the booth. I did get a new bull, and you can see up there we have a collection of bulls. So this is a nice one. Came from our distributor in Canada, but it ultimately came from CLR, the people that make the acid type cleaners for glass and things like that. So thank you very much for this bull. It's going to go into the collection up top there. And I hope you appreciate our transparency on what we're doing and how we're going to kind of handle things in the coming years with the show. For those of you that stopped by and saw me in my bow tie, thanks, Dad, for those. I guess everybody thinks I'm the bow tie guy now, but it all came from my dad. So thanks for that. I finally got pretty good at tying the tie. My rule of thumb is if I get it on like the first three tries, that's really good karma for the show. And the last day, I was able to get the tie done in one try. But unfortunately, the last day, as we joke about the last day is the last day, the last day this year was the worst last day that I've ever seen. And I assume it has something to do with the air traffic controllers. We did see a very, very good turnout on the first day. The second day was pretty much cleared out by lunchtime. And based on the baggage drop thing that they had, where you can leave your suitcase because you're leaving that day, enormous amount of people came in on Monday and left on Tuesday. Or I'm sorry, came in on Tuesday and left on Wednesday. So those of you that did stop by the booth, thank you very much and appreciate the feedback. We introduced a couple new products, the Clear Ion fragrance-free odor control system. It was a big hit, so really, really good from that standpoint. We got the word out about some pretty unique products. So thanks again, and stay tuned for future Jancasts.